All right. Hi. This is Hargus McFargus. It's such a ridiculous thing to say wearing an outfit like this because I'm like, I'm Harrison, but that is not the name of this YouTube channel. So anyway, I'm sure the people who still watch my videos have noticed that I have been making some different content as of late. I've been streaming a lot more on Twitch at twitch.tv/HargusMcFargus for a shameless plug. But on stream, I've been talking to the people who I've been chatting with about doing reviews of clothing that I buy. A quick story to give some context to this, and this is probably the only time I'll actually do a story like this. But my mom is a fashion designer. I grew up right outside of New York City. She had a showroom in Manhattan, right in Midtown, and she was a women's accessories designer. But, you know, she traveled the world and she designed things and sold them, and I grew up very close to the fashion industry, and because of that, I've always had this really, it's an affinity for quality clothing. And I hit a point in my life maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I realized that I was sick of needing to get new shoes every 6 months, and I finally took the leap and started making small investments at the time, compared to an investment like this, of course, to really start buying better. And what I realized is, one, buying things feels good, and buying nice things feels really good. And to make a long story short, I have shoes. For those of you who saw my last video, I have a lot of shoes, and I really like shoes. And quite frankly, being so close to, in this case, footwear, but clothing in general, has really been a great opportunity for me to be really close to my mom. She lives across the country, so this has just been a really great opportunity to FaceTime with her and to talk about shoes, or to talk about a jacket, and to talk about all of the little things that most people don't really care about. So yeah, I know this is a channel where I used to play League of Legends, and I'd yell and I'd go cuckoo bonkers, and it's not that I don't enjoy doing that, I actually do, but I think I prefer doing it on stream, which is where I do it a lot more, and I think I want to use this channel as a platform to start talking about clothing, or things that I like, really. You know, maybe I'll do more Hargus Cooks, maybe I'll just I just kind of want to do whatever I want, and sometimes I feel like recording it and sharing it. So that out of the way, the boots here are a new pair of Viberg service boots built on the 2555 last in Horween mushroom reverse. I call it chamois. I have no idea if it's chamois or chamois. I'm used to calling it chamois. Some people call it ShamWow. I think it's a joke, but at this point, I don't know anymore. And I wanted to do this review first, actually. One, because these are a new pair of boots. Two, this is my first pair of Vibergs. And three, most of the shoes that I own are dress shoes. And, you know, high quality work boots or service boots are generally constructed in the same way that a pair of dress shoes is. The big differences are the materials that the upper is made out of, and sometimes the construction can vary a little bit. And obviously the shape of the shoe will also change. So this being a one take, it might be a little bit longer, I might babble a little bit, but now with all of the random crap out of the way, I just want to start talking about the shoe. So first of all, I love it. This shoe is freaking amazing. I'm no stranger to buying relatively expensive shoes. I got these on sale from Standard and Strange for $590. Normally they retail for about $700. I'm no stranger to spending that much money on a pair of shoes. I think when you buy something that is an investment like that, there is more than the notion that it's, you know, it's more than just like an aesthetically pleasing accessory. The construction of these boots is conducive to helping your posture, helping you walk a little bit more confidently, and quite frankly, with the way that they're constructed, the weight. These shoes are about 1,000 grams each. I have no idea how much that is in pounds. I put them on my food scale. This is what 1,000 grams feels like to me, and it's not a lightweight shoe, and that's what I really love about it. It really helps me feel secure. So given the fact that this is my first shoe review, I think I'm going to babble a little bit, but I don't really care. I just want to talk about shoes. So I'm going to start with the upper material. So again, this is from Horween Tannery out of Chicago. It is a reverse chamois leather, so if you look on the inside of the shoe, what you can probably see is a smoother, it's almost waxy feeling inside of the upper. So what they do is they reverse it almost like a suede. So it is nappy It is a very like oily leather is what it feels like. They say that it's pretty water resistant. To be completely honest with you, these aren't the kind of boots that I would feel like babying anyway. I wore them on a hike yesterday just to try to break them in. I went probably a mile and a half, and you know, they were weighty, but they felt rugged. I didn't feel afraid walking through puddles or mud sometimes, and you know, I brought them back. I wiped down the outsoles a little bit just so I could put them on my shoe rack a little bit cleaner, but the uppers look totally fine. The toe area, the toe cap here is partially unstructured. That's how it's described on the website. Doing some research, there isn't, you know, a full like rigid toe puff in here. It is pretty rigid. It's pretty stiff. Even without the shoe tree in there, you can still feel that there is some give, I guess. And that's what that partially unstructured means to me, I think. You know, there is some sort of material in here to give the toe shape some sort of puff, I guess, some sort of rigidity, but it's not a full piece of material, or it's not taking up all of the space there. So if somebody can describe partially unstructured better than I can, which I'm sure they can, that would be great. So the upper is from Horween. It's really thick. It's really quite soft, actually. That was the first thing that I noticed when I took them out of the box. It's a really amazing material. It's really beautiful. It's really sturdy. And I like that this is a boot that I feel like I don't need to baby, especially compared to some of my other shoes. This is a boot that you can do boot stuff in. Boot stuff in. I'm sorry about that. The construction, so this isn't a traditional Goodyear welt shoe. This is stitched down. This stitched down. And what that means is when the upper goes to be attached to the midsole in this case, the upper is flipped out a little bit. So there's stitching that attaches the upper and the midsole and the sole together, and then there's stitching that just attaches the upper to the midsole. There's nothing wrong with that construction method. I think one of the things that it does is it does give the boot a little bit more of a rugged, a little bit more of a resilient stance. People love stitch down boots because there's no welt necessarily. There's no traditional welt, at least. I don't see a welt. I'm assuming there is no welt. I don't know, you know, I don't know what's going on the inside of the shoe enough to make a determined, there's no welt. That's what I'm trying to say. There is no welt. For those of you who don't know, a welt is a functional piece of material, generally leather, that goes around the upper of the shoe. And for quality shoes, a Goodyear welted shoe means that a shoe was welted using a Goodyear welting machine, invented by the son of the Goodyear tire guy. Fun fact. So the boots are stitched down. One of the things that I like about stitched down boots, I don't own many. I own one more. I used to own two before I sold it. They are generally a little bit more lightweight just because there's less hardware. There isn't a piece of material going around the entire shoe that requires more stuff. So when the upper is flipped out like this, you can still resole the shoe, you can still take good care of it, but it does add a little bit more heft to the stance of the shoe. So inside, in terms of lining, the shoe is half lined, which means that up here on the shaft of the boot, as you can see, there is no material here, it's just the upper material, but then as you stick your hand inside, and you can actually, you might be able to see it, I have some pictures that I can post in the description. The leather lining starts right here around the vamp. The vamp of the shoe is effectively where your feet go, where your feet goes, and where your toes live in the vamp. The rear quarters over here are not lined. The tongue here is a different material. It feels like calfskin. It is creasing like calfskin. It looks like normal cowhide, but completely... I don't I don't remember what it is. I decided to go with the leather laces. The shoes did come with cotton laces as well. I really liked the way that the leather laces looked, so I took them. So again, I mentioned the price. A lot of people would be completely flabbergasted with the idea of spending $700, $800 on a pair of shoes. That's the most I've ever spent on a pair of shoes. No pair of mine that I've bought new was ever above $1,000. Obviously, what you're getting sometimes is a name. You're getting a brand, but you're not necessarily getting quality. But I can absolutely see why somebody would justify spending $1,000 or more on a pair of shoes. I could very easily spend a pair of, if I were to buy a boot like this in, say, shell cordovan, that would absolutely raise the price of the boot. And understandably so. Shell cordovan is a beautiful material, albeit not for everybody. So we spoke about the construction, we spoke about the upper material, we spoke about the tongue, we spoke about the lining. Now, the price is something that I want to elaborate a little bit more on because, again, it's hard for people to really understand why you would spend this kind of money on a pair of boots. One reason being it's a lot of money. Two being, well, can you get a better boot or a different boot for less price? Better boot can be a subjective term, so I'm going to try to avoid that. But what I do have here is a similar pair from a company out of Indonesia called Winson. And this is a stitched down chukka boot in a similar rough. This is just in plain calf suede. It's fully lined. The price of this boot new was about $400. I bought this boot used because the person who bought it didn't fit him. And I got these for like $110. Looking at the two of these, I could completely understand why somebody would say, it's a solid boot. Why would you get this when you can get this? A couple things. The upper material here, the Horween reverse chamois, is something that you don't really find on a lot of these Indonesian boots. Generally, they use Indonesian leathers or leather from Italian tanneries, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking for something in this Horween leather, you might not be able to find it on an Indonesian boot. Second, what you're getting is something that's a lot less dressy. So if you're somebody who wants to be able to go out and do boot stuff, for lack of a better word, sometimes I feel like I have to baby these a little bit more, although I have taken these on hikes. I've taken them to corn mazes and apple picking, and they've held up just fine. And I've only really brushed them and sprayed them with suede conditioner once. One of the big things that you're getting, though, with this is, one, labor cost. These are made in Canada. These are made in Indonesia, so cost of living, labor costs in general are much higher in Canada. And two, these are made by Viberg, which is, a company that boot people, when you hear Viberg, you know that something is up, right? If you know, it's one of those. And there's something about wearing this boot that makes me feel indestructible. There's something about this boot that makes me feel a little bit more put together and dressy. Granted, the shape of the shoe is different. The last that this is built on is much more round. This has a much wider toe area, which is something that I was looking for, so I could wear these with really thick socks. I think the function of these shoes serve different purposes. I got this to dress down some of my nicer outfits. I got this if I needed to do boot stuff. If I needed to go out and deal with just random crap, these are the boots for that. Not that being said, I could wear these boots, and I have worn these boots to do things, but these boots make me feel indestructible. And that's something that I really, really love about a pair of boots like this. Even looking at like the stitching around the upper and the sole, the stitching on the Winson shoes just looks thinner. Functionally they serve the same purpose, but aesthetically, the thicker thread that's used to stitch the upper to the sole on these Vibergs, it makes me feel powerful. So when you're comparing a shoe that you could get new and quite frankly customized, that's another thing that I should probably talk about is sizing. This pair was customized for the person who wanted to order it. When they ordered it, their foot was a little bit wide, so they sent in foot measurements, but the actual shoe when it was built was just not comfortable enough for the person who bought it. I asked for the measurements he gave the person who made it over at Winson, and they, fit what I was looking for in a shoe like this. If I wore thick socks, they fit comfortably. The fit of these shoes is fantastic for me. I wear a 12 and a half. The shape of my feet are weird. My toe area is way wider than the ball of my foot because when I was a kid, I used to just run into shit all the time and my toes would just break constantly. So the wider toe area here is really great for that. But here I have no problem with the way that these fit at all. So that being said, I've thrown a lot of information out there. I have no idea if any of it was coherent. I guess to summarize it, these are awesome boots. These are more affordable boots. But if you know what you're looking for, And if you want something that, one, has a really important name in the world of boot heritage and shoemaking heritage in general, if you want really thick, really, really high quality leather that's just going to look really beautiful over time, this is a guarantee that this is a guarantee. Not to say that this isn't. This is a fantastic shoe, and the upper materials are great. But there's a little bit of an unknown associated with buying from makers in Indonesia sometimes. The quality of the leather from those tanneries isn't nearly as tested as tanneries as Horween. This is a solid boot. I've had it for like a year and a half now. It's great. But I put this boot on and I knew that I was going to go out, I was going to just stomp around and feel unstoppable, which is exactly what I did on a 1.5 mile walk in suburban Western New York. So yeah, these boots are great. Closing thoughts. I'm really excited to have another pair of boots that have been stitched down. I really, really love how indestructible it makes me feel. The Horween reverse chamois is absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous, it's soft, it smells really nice. The inside of the shoe fits my foot really well. I was concerned that it would be a little bit wide. The last the shoe is built on is kind of a wider last, but it fits me really well. The boot makes me feel indestructible. The boot makes me feel powerful. The boot makes me feel like smart and rugged, and it just, oh my god, it makes me want to like go outside and talk to people about like doing stuff like, I fixed up my motorcycle. I don't have a motorcycle. I'm terrified to own a motorcycle. But this boot makes me feel like I can go do like boot stuff and motorcycle stuff and like I could go climb a tree in these, and I've never climbed a tree in my life, but I could in these boots. So yeah, I hope that this was a helpful video. I hope it was informative. I hope to do more of these in the future where I'm a lot less sweaty and I'm a little bit more coherent. But you got to start somewhere, and thank you so much for watching. I hope it helped, and I hope you enjoyed it.